Welcome back. My name is Nina Means, the director for Austin Community College Fashion Incubator, and we are watching ACCFI Presents. We are back for segment two, part two of our conversation with Angie Ramirez, who is the head of development at Stitch. We're really excited to have you back, Angie. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So can you tell me a little bit more about like the kinds of projects and clients that you guys are working on now? Like whenever people like call over to Stitch Texas, or they,
Right.
you know, what should they be coming to you guys for?
You know, it's a pretty wide range. I would say most of the contacts we have from folks are people who just have an idea, and where they are on the spectrum of how far they've made it on the idea, you know, is really wide, and that's something that you know, Vesta and I have always had a real passion for, is, you know, what are some ways that we can help to even consult people when their idea is not realistic, and not to discourage them, but and sometimes it's discouragement, you know, but sometimes hopefully it's to try to shepherd them or try to make them look at it differently. And other times somebody has more of not only an idea, but more of a plan. And then other times, and then we do work with established designers with established lines. They need us for fewer services. They might, you know, we can kind of a la carte. So we have some people where we're taking them from, like, you know, the infancy of just like this tiny idea, and they know absolutely nothing, all the way through somebody who's really, you know, established, and especially if when it comes to working with already established designers with lines, we try to prioritize folks in Texas, specifically in Central Texas, you know, kind of get close, so that, you know, if there's somebody in town that needs a little help with something, you know, we try to make that work, just to kind of support neighbors, right? As far as the types of projects, I would say something that is really unique about Stitch Texas, and probably specifically because we're born from that place of creating this safe environment for those of us with these hard skills, is that we are primarily technical. I often tell my clients, like, think of us as, you know, the geeks under the hood, the mechanics. And so because of that, and because, you know, it's so funny, as I was thinking about this leading up to this conversation with you, and then talking through it, I don't know that I put all those pieces together, that's how we ended up here. But it really came from Vesta trying to, like, really making a safe place for us, that now we really are this company of kind of these just super technical geeks and nerds. And what that means is, it makes us it makes us a good fit, not only for apparel, but for any sewn product. Not any, there's a scope, but it means that we were not born as necessarily a piece of the fashion business per se. Of course, we do a lot of that work, but, you know, when you put together this many sort of, you know, engineers and different aspects, then you have the capability of doing not only apparel, which is super fun, but maybe really functional apparel that has to suit a specific need, medical devices, lots of other weird technical things. And we really, that's what we really enjoy. And luckily we've been so blessed with enough different kinds of clients that almost have, figured out for us how we can use our skills to be put in different places that we really hadn't thought of coming into this. And those have been a lot of our strengths. And I would also say that because we are not, because our development team isn't specifically here to keep the engine of a very specific production factory going, then we have more availability to work with people that might need just like to kind of tinker with an idea that they have. And sometimes that can be really hard for folks like that with these very weird kind of projects to get a development team that might be inside of a factory to give them time. Because, oftentimes even to get a first sample from a factory, you may have to put a deposit down on your production. That's very difficult when you're talking about somebody who doesn't even know if their idea is going to work, right? Mm-hmm. So for people that are in the really early phases of really cool, interesting, different ideas, it might be very hard to get someone on board to help them with it. And then, back when I was a freelance independent pattern maker, I love working on those types of projects, but I also didn't have all of the infrastructure at my disposal so that all the work that I was doing was being recorded digitally, that I had a professional sample stitcher on industrial machines, that the pieces were being cut from markers, in an industrial way, right? So I might be able to help people with their ideas, but I wouldn't be able to get it to the output so that it's ready for that factory, right? And so that's we're able to do that. And so when you ask like, who is our customer, who are we serving? It's mostly people that have no experience at all. I hear a lot of like, I've been looking everywhere for somebody that will even talk to me about this. Thank you for, even having this conversation with me. I have that conversation every day. Mostly, I would say when we started, it was mostly people within Texas. Then it really grew outside of Texas. And then Austin, as it does, had yet another boom with more people flooding in. And now the numbers of inquiries that we're getting from within Austin now have shot back up.
Wow.
So that's kind of interesting. Yeah.
It's so interesting. Angie, I love this conversation. I could talk to you like all day, all afternoon. The good thing is that we have another segment coming up with you to talk more about Stitch Texas and more about what you're doing. So thank you so much for your time again. Join us next time for ACCFI Presents featuring Angie Ramirez of Stitch Texas.
Thank you, Nina.